From the Atsugi Naval Air Station, it is Wednesday afternoon here in Japan. We're waiting to board that flight for the USS Ronald Reagan, the massive aircraft carrier now serving as a humanitarian aid platform off the coast of Tsunami ravaged northeast Japan. We'll have more on that in a moment. But first, the latest news on the most pressing concern to come out of this country today. That is the fear of nuclear fallout from that ravaged Fukushima Daiichi power plant, where last night another explosion and fire prompted the Prime Minister to take to the national airwaves with this warning.
The leaked radiation level, he said, is now rather high, and there is a high chance for further leakage of radiation from now on.
And for the first time tonight, the Japanese confirmed that all 3 containment walls in the shattered reactor have been damaged, which means radiation leakage is almost certain.
Inside the plant, 750 technicians were told to leave, and only 50 remained, risking their lives and staying behind to try to get the reactor back under control to avoid a Chernobyl-like disaster. They used fire pumps to flood the reactors with water to cool the nuclear core, and late this evening came a report that the fire was indeed out.
But then hours later, the radiation levels spiked so high they stopped work altogether, at least for now.
But those who live within the 12-mile evacuation radius, some 136,000 people, had to flee, and now more than 500,000 are homeless. In Tokyo, the fear is palpable. People wear radiation badges and pop iodine pills. Shelves are emptying as stores run low on food and other supplies. And if you followed our journey yesterday, you know that fear of a nuclear wind is the last thing this country needs after a week when millions of lives changed for the worst. The sights and sounds and smells up in the tsunami zone are absolutely soul-crushing. Entire villages turned into shattered, muddy slop. But soon you become numb to all the physical devastation. But it's impossible to brace against the emotional sledgehammer found at one of the only working hospitals next to the epicenter. Here we found a tent filled with lists of names, people who came to seek treatment, and outside that tent, a heartbreaking line of folks desperate to find proof of life for loved ones gone missing since the quake. There were moments of brief joy.
You just found each other here just now.
Like a reunion between these 2 sisters. But soon the sound of a chopper blade would fill the air, another victim would arrive. We saw one who looked like he'd been pulled from the mud just moments before. While on the coast, another small glimpse of hope, this 21-year-old man now being carried to safety. And it's these kind of victims that are first on the mind of the Navy and Marines who've been scrambling to help since the tragedy, bringing bread, rice, water, and flying helicopter search and rescue missions into the remote villages of the Northeast. Our team boarded a transport plane filled with 10,000 pounds of food, water, and diapers, bound for the USS Reagan. But half an hour after takeoff, bad weather around the ship forced us to turn back to the base, and that weather is having a frustrating effect on the rescue efforts as well today. And of course, those on the Reagan and a number of other destroyers and amphibious vehicles are doing their jobs with the very real possibility of radioactive contamination. In fact, we'll be sharing the ship with fresh contamination teams who help take readings and scrub down rescue teams as they come back to the boat. NHK is now reporting that the number of dead and missing has exceeded 10,000. And among the survivors, post-traumatic stress is the norm, as people like these American teachers count their blessings while dealing with the shock of it all.
It didn't quite feel real at the time. It's like, I don't want to die, I don't want to die. It was kind of just a run for your life sort of moment, which I never really thought I'd have to deal with. But it was still terrifying once we got up to the top. We didn't know if more water was going to come, if there was going to be another tsunami. So we were kind of at the highest point that we could get. So the whole evening was kind of terrifying, not knowing if we were high enough.
I wish I had a picture of what it used to look like as a beautiful, healthy town. It was probably the most devastating thing I've ever seen. And, you know, I didn't lose my home. I didn't possibly lose a family member. So it was just overwhelming. And I think everyone was so shocked and just couldn't believe what had happened.